The world's oceans cover over 70% of the Earth's surface, vast, deep, and often enigmatic. For centuries, they have stood as silent witnesses to the most transformative moments in human history. Far beyond being mere bodies of water, the oceans have served as arenas where nature's fury, human ambition, innovation, and conflict have collided to shape civilizations and global power structures. They have been the highways of exploration, battlegrounds of war, and theatres of natural disasters whose impact ripples through time. One of the earliest monumental oceanic chapters began with the age of exploration in the late 15th century. Driven by the desire for trade routes and territorial expansion, European navigators like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan embarked on unprecedented voyages across vast and previously uncharted oceans. Columbus's 1492 expedition inadvertently led to the discovery of the Americas, a moment that forever altered the demographic and economic landscapes of the world. Magellan's circumnavigation of the globe between 1519 and 1522 provided irrefutable proof of the Earth's roundness and the interconnectivity of the world's oceans. These voyages transformed the oceans from mysterious barriers into arteries of global exchange, reshaping economies, cultures, and geopolitics. Yet, the oceans are not just routes of discovery, they have been the stage for some of the most devastating tragedies in history. The sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912 remains one of the most infamous maritime disasters. Heralded as an engineering marvel and deemed unsinkable, the Titanic's collision with an iceberg in the North Atlantic resulted in the loss of over 500 lives. This tragedy exposed critical flaws in maritime safety regulations and led to international reforms, including the establishment of the Safety of Life at Sea SOLAS Treaty. The disaster forever changed how humanity approached ocean travel, emphasizing safety and emergency preparedness. Natural forces have also demonstrated the ocean's immense power. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, triggered by a massive undersea earthquake near Sumatra, Indonesia, was one of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded. Within minutes, waves towering as high as 30 meters surged across 14 countries, leaving more than 230 people dead and millions displaced. The disaster revealed significant gaps in early warning systems and international disaster preparedness. Its aftermath saw the establishment of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, exemplifying how scientific advancements and global cooperation can mitigate future tragedies. The oceans have also been central to the tides of global conflict. The Battle of Midway, fought in June 1942 near a small atoll in the Central Pacific, marked a decisive turning point in World War II's Pacific theater. Utilizing intelligence breakthroughs in code breaking, the United States Navy anticipated and repelled a Japanese attack, sinking 4 Japanese aircraft carriers while losing only one of their own. This victory halted Japanese expansion and shifted the balance of naval power. Midway underscored the ocean's strategic importance and the pivotal role naval dominance plays in shaping geopolitical outcomes. Beyond warfare and disaster, human innovation in navigating and harnessing the oceans has also transformed history. The completion of the Panama Canal in 1914 revolutionized maritime trade by connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, eliminating the need for the treacherous journey around South America's Cape Horn. This engineering marvel reduced travel times drastically, boosted global commerce, and enhanced military mobility. It also sparked significant geopolitical influence, especially by the United States, which controlled the canal zone for much of the 20th century, thereby shaping regional politics. Scientific exploration of the oceans took a giant leap forward with the HMS Challenger expedition from 1872 to 1876. This groundbreaking journey systematically studied ocean depths, currents, temperatures, and marine life on a global scale. The expedition discovered thousands of new species and mapped parts of the ocean floor, fundamentally changing humanity's understanding of the marine world. It laid the foundation for modern oceanography and shifted the perception of oceans from unknowable mysteries to complex, vital ecosystems. In more recent decades, the oceans have highlighted humanity's environmental vulnerabilities. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010 was one of the worst environmental disasters in history, releasing millions of barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. It devastated marine and coastal ecosystems and severely impacted fishing and tourism industries, illuminating the profound interconnectedness between ocean health and human livelihoods. The disaster led to major regulatory reforms in offshore drilling and sparked global conversations on environmental responsibility. These oceanic events, whether voyages of exploration, devastating natural disasters, pivotal battles, or environmental crises, have had profound and lasting impacts on human history. They have shaped how societies develop, how power is wielded, and how humanity interacts with the natural world. Understanding these pivotal moments reminds us of the ocean's integral role in our past, present, and future. They are not just vast, impersonal bodies of water, but dynamic arenas where human innovation meets nature's power. They connect cultures, influence economies, and pose existential challenges. As we move forward into an increasingly interconnected world, recognizing and respecting this profound relationship with the oceans is essential. The lessons of history underscore that the fate of humanity and the health of the world's oceans are inextricably linked. Our continued survival depends on this deep and enduring connection, the age of exploration and the discovery of new worlds. The late 15th century heralded one of the most transformative epochs in human history, an era defined by audacious sea voyages, vast oceanic discoveries, and the dramatic reshaping of global civilizations. Known today as the Age of Exploration, this period was fueled by revolutionary advances in navigation and shipbuilding, as well as an insatiable hunger for wealth, knowledge, and power. It was a time when intrepid explorers set sail across the vast and uncharted oceans, driven by the desire to discover new trade routes, access untapped resources, and expand territorial claims. Their journeys not only redrew the world's maps, but irrevocably altered the trajectory of human history. At the forefront of this epoch was Christopher Columbus, an Italian navigator under the patronage of the Spanish crown. In August 1492, Columbus embarked on a daring westward voyage across the Atlantic Ocean, aiming to find a shorter route to Asia's lucrative spice markets. After weeks at sea, instead of reaching the Asian continent, Columbus made landfall in the islands of the Caribbean. While he did not discover the Americas, its indigenous peoples had lived there for millennia. His arrival was a revelation for Europe. It marked the opening of a gateway to vast, previously unknown lands ripe for exploration, colonization, and exploitation. Columbus's arrival unleashed a flood of events that would forever change global demographics, economies, and cultures. The Americas quickly became a theatre for European powers such as Spain, Portugal, England, France, and the Netherlands, each racing to claim and colonize territories. This epoch of colonization set in motion what is known as the Columbian Exchange, a sweeping transfer of plants, animals, peoples, cultures, and diseases between the Old World and the New. The Columbian Exchange radically transformed life on both sides of the Atlantic. Crops native to the Americas, including potatoes, maize, tomatoes, and cacao, journeyed to Europe, Africa, and Asia, revolutionizing agriculture and diets worldwide. Conversely, Europeans introduced wheat, sugarcane, horses, cattle, and other domesticates to the Americas, transforming indigenous ways of life and economies. Yet, this exchange came with a catastrophic human cost. Diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza, previously unknown to the Americas, decimated indigenous populations who had no immunity. Some estimates suggest mortality rates as high as 90% in affected communities, creating profound demographic shifts. While Columbus's voyages stand as a pivotal moment, they were part of a broader tapestry of maritime exploration that expanded rapidly in the ensuing decades. In 1498, the Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama successfully sailed around Africa's Cape of Good Hope to reach India, establishing a direct sea route to Asia. This achievement broke the centuries-old monopoly of overland spice trade routes controlled by Middle Eastern and Venetian merchants, allowing Europe to engage directly in the immensely profitable Asian spice trade. Da Gama's voyage laid the foundation for Portuguese dominance in the Indian Ocean and inaugurated centuries of colonial and commercial competition in Asia. Perhaps one of the most ambitious undertakings of this era was the expedition led by Ferdinand Magellan, which set sail in 1519. Magellan aimed to prove the world's roundness by charting a westward route to the Spice Islands, part of present-day Indonesia. Though Magellan himself was killed in the Philippines, his fleet persevered and completed the first recorded circumnavigation of the Earth in 1522. This monumental voyage fundamentally altered humanity's understanding of the globe, revealing the immense scale of the Pacific Ocean, an expanse that had previously been underestimated, and underscoring the vast interconnectedness of the world's oceans. Magellan's expedition not only confirmed the Earth's spherical nature, but also challenged prevailing geographical and cultural myths. It opened new possibilities for navigation, trade, and cultural exchange, inspiring subsequent explorations and map-making. These voyages collectively catalyzed a burgeoning global network of oceanic trade and cultural interactions. European powers established colonies, trading posts, and naval bases across Asia, Africa, and the Americas, facilitating the movement not only of goods but also of ideas, technologies, religions, and people. However, the Age of Exploration also ushered in darker chapters of human history. Among the most tragic legacies was the emergence of the transatlantic slave trade, a brutal system that forcibly transported millions of Africans to the Americas to work on plantations, mines, and other enterprises. This inhuman trade profoundly reshaped the social and demographic fabric of the Atlantic world, embedding systems of racial exploitation and inequality whose legacies endure today. Moreover, indigenous civilizations across the Americas, Africa, and Asia frequently suffered displacement, cultural erasure, and destruction as European colonizers imposed new political, economic, and religious orders. The collision of vastly different worlds during this period initiated processes of conflict, assimilation, resistance, and transformation that reshaped the history of entire continents. In sum, the Age of Exploration was a watershed moment in oceanic history. It transformed the oceans from daunting barriers into navigable highways that connected continents and cultures. The discoveries and encounters of this era laid the foundations for the modern, interconnected global society, a complex network of commerce, diplomacy, conflict, and cultural exchange. Through bold maritime ventures, technological innovation, and scientific advancement, humanity expanded its horizons, altered maps, and initiated an era of global interaction whose effects ripple across time. These oceanic events serve as enduring reminders of the profound impact the seas have had in shaping civilizations, economies, and the very course of human history. As we reflect on this era, it becomes clear that the oceans are not mere physical separators but vibrant spaces where human stories unfold of discovery and conquest, innovation and exploitation, tragedy and transformation. Understanding the Age of Exploration enriches our comprehension of the interconnected world we live in today and challenges us to learn from history as we navigate the oceans of the future. The sinking of the Titanic, a maritime tragedy that changed safety standards. On a cold moonlit night in mid-April 1912, one of the most ambitious feats of engineering of the early 20th century met a tragic and unforeseen fate. The RMS Titanic, celebrated as the largest and most luxurious passenger liner ever built, was widely proclaimed unsinkable. Yet, mere days into her maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City, this colossal ship collided with an iceberg in the frigid North Atlantic. Within hours, the so-called Ship of Dreams slipped beneath the icy waves, claiming over 500 lives and sending shockwaves that rippled across the globe. The Titanic was far more than a mere vessel. She was a floating palace and a testament to human ingenuity and industrial confidence. Measuring an astounding 882 feet in length and nearly 100 feet in width, the ship combined advanced engineering with opulent luxury. From grand staircases and lavish dining rooms to the latest technology of the day, the Titanic embodied the pinnacle of early 20th century progress and optimism. But beneath this grandeur lay critical vulnerabilities, weaknesses that would prove fatal on that cold April night. As the Titanic steamed across the North Atlantic, it passed through one of the most treacherous regions of the ocean, notorious for drifting icebergs that had claimed countless ships before. Multiple warnings about iceberg concentrations were received on the bridge, yet despite these reports, the ship maintained near maximum speed. Whether due to overconfidence in the vessel's design, a desire to make a swift crossing, or a lack of appreciation for the iceberg threat, these warnings were not adequately heeded. Shortly before midnight on April 14, lookouts spotted an iceberg directly ahead. Despite last-minute evasive maneuvers, the Titanic struck the iceberg along her starboard side. The collision tore open the hull, rupturing 5 of the ship's 16 watertight compartments more than the ship was designed to endure. Though the ship was engineered to remain afloat with up to 4 flooded compartments, 5 proved catastrophic. Water rapidly flooded the forward compartments, sealing the fate of the Titanic. Panic soon engulfed passengers and crew alike. The Titanic's evacuation protocols revealed grave shortcomings. One glaring flaw was the insufficient number of lifeboats. Though the Titanic could carry over 300 passengers and crew, it was equipped with only 20 lifeboats, sufficient for just over half of those aboard. This number was dictated not by the ship's size, but by outdated maritime regulations, reflecting a dangerous underestimation of risk. As the order to abandon ship was given, confusion and poor coordination hampered evacuation efforts. Lifeboats were often launched before reaching full capacity, and many passengers, especially those in lower classes, were denied access. The priority was to load women and children first, but the chaotic and uneven enforcement of these rules meant many lifeboats departed with empty seats. Meanwhile, the freezing temperatures of the Atlantic and the icy waters around the sinking ship posed a deadly threat to those left behind. Within less than 3 hours, the Titanic vanished beneath the waves, leaving a chilling silence where once a marvel of human engineering had sailed. More than 2/3 of those aboard perished in the frigid waters. The scale of the tragedy was staggering, a loss that gripped the world in shock and profound mourning. The sinking of the Titanic exposed glaring deficiencies in maritime safety, ship design, and emergency preparedness. Public outcry was immediate and intense. Governments across the world launched investigations, aiming to uncover how such a catastrophe could occur and to ensure it would never happen again. In 1914, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was convened, a landmark treaty that fundamentally reshaped maritime regulations. SOLAS mandated sweeping reforms. Lifeboat capacity requirements were revised so every passenger and crew member would have a seat. Mandatory lifeboat drills were introduced to improve evacuation efficiency, and continuous radio watch became compulsory to guarantee distress signals were received and acted upon. Perhaps most notably, the International Ice Patrol was established to monitor iceberg dangers in the North Atlantic, vastly improving navigational safety in hazardous waters. These reforms marked a turning point. Engineering marvels were no longer judged by their size or luxury alone, but by their ability to safeguard human life. The Titanic disaster became a grim catalyst for an international commitment to maritime safety, a commitment that continues to evolve. Beyond regulations, the Titanic tragedy captured the global imagination and became deeply embedded in cultural consciousness. The story of the ship, its passengers, and the fateful night has inspired countless books, documentaries, theatrical productions, and films. The 1997 blockbuster Titanic, directed by James Cameron, rekindled worldwide fascination by weaving romance and heroism with harrowing realism, cementing the disaster's place in popular culture. In 1985, oceanographer Robert Ballard discovered the Titanic's wreck nearly 500 feet beneath the ocean's surface. The haunting remains sparked a new era of underwater exploration. Scientific studies of the wreck and recovered artifacts have offered poignant glimpses into the past, while igniting debates over preservation, ethics, and the commodification of maritime heritage. More than a century later, the Titanic remains a powerful symbol of human ambition and vulnerability. Its legacy informs maritime safety standards worldwide. Modern passenger ships now benefit from lessons born on that fateful night. Rigorous safety drills, improved communication technologies, and stringent lifeboat regulations are standard features. The sinking of the Titanic is a sobering reminder that even the most advanced technology cannot overcome nature's forces without respect, vigilance, and preparedness. It underscores a timeless truth. Progress must be tempered by caution, and human ingenuity must always be paired with humility. In the end, the Titanic's tragic voyage forever altered the way humanity approaches ocean travel, a legacy forged in tragedy, but defined by an enduring commitment to protect life at sea. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, a natural disaster with global impact. In the early hours of December 26, 2004, the Earth's crust beneath the Indian Ocean shifted with a force so immense that its shockwaves reverberated across the globe. Off the western coast of northern Sumatra, Indonesia, a colossal undersea megathrust earthquake ruptured the tectonic plate boundary with an estimated magnitude between 9.1 and 9.3, the third largest earthquake ever recorded in modern history. This sudden and violent geological event displaced billions of tons of seawater, unleashing a tsunami of unprecedented scale and destruction that would forever mark human history. Within minutes, enormous waves, some towering as high as 30 meters, fanned outward from the epicenter, racing across the Indian Ocean at speeds comparable to jet airliners. These massive walls of water, relentless and unforgiving, struck the shores of 14 countries stretching across Southeast Asia, South Asia, East Africa, and beyond. Entire coastal communities were engulfed and swept away, leaving devastation and despair in their wake. The human toll was staggering and deeply tragic. More than 230 lives were lost in a single catastrophe, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters ever recorded. Indonesia bore the brunt of the disaster, with tens of thousands perishing as entire villages were obliterated within moments. Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, and the Maldives also suffered catastrophic losses. Remarkably, even the distant shores of East Africa, thousands of kilometers from the epicenter, experienced the tsunami's destructive reach, demonstrating the vast power and scale of the event. Millions of people were displaced, left homeless, traumatized, and dependent on international humanitarian aid for survival. This disaster stood as a grim testament to the ocean's raw power and humanity's profound vulnerability. What made the tragedy even more heartrending was the glaring absence of an effective early warning system in the Indian Ocean region. Unlike the Pacific Ocean, where devastating tsunamis earlier in the century had spurred the creation of a sophisticated alert network, the Indian Ocean lacked coordinated seismic monitoring, ocean buoys, and communication infrastructure to provide timely warnings. As a result, communities along vulnerable coastlines had virtually no advance notice to prepare or evacuate, leading to immense loss of life that might have been mitigated. The scale and severity of the catastrophe galvanized a massive global humanitarian response. Governments, international agencies, non-governmental organizations, and countless individuals mobilized rapidly, delivering emergency medical supplies, food, water, shelter, and financial aid. The sheer geographic spread of affected areas, coupled with widespread destruction of infrastructure and the immense human suffering, challenged traditional disaster response frameworks and demanded unprecedented levels of coordination and cooperation. In the years following the tsunami, the disaster became a catalyst for significant innovation in disaster preparedness and response. Recognizing the urgent need to prevent similar future catastrophes, countries bordering the Indian Ocean collaborated to establish the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, IOTWS. This system integrates an array of seismic sensors, deep ocean buoys designed to detect tsunami waves, and advanced communication networks to rapidly transmit alerts. The aim is clear: to provide vulnerable coastal populations with critical minutes or even hours to evacuate and seek safety when the ocean signals imminent danger. Beyond the immediate and devastating human losses, the tsunami wrought profound and lasting environmental and societal changes. Entire coastlines were reshaped by the violent surge of water, beaches eroded, mangrove forests uprooted, and coral reefs damaged or destroyed. These coastal ecosystems are vital, not only as biodiversity hotspots but also as natural barriers that protect shorelines from storm surges. The redistribution of sediments altered some marine habitats permanently, affecting the delicate balance of life beneath the waves. For fishing communities, whose livelihoods depend intimately on the ocean, the tsunami's destruction was especially acute. Boats were smashed, fishing gear destroyed, and fish stocks disrupted. This resulted in severe economic hardship for many families and communities, compounding the tragedy with long-term struggles for sustenance and recovery. Infrastructure throughout the affected regions suffered catastrophic damage. Roads, bridges, ports, hospitals, schools, and communication networks were swept away or rendered inoperable. This infrastructure collapse complicated rescue and relief efforts and prolonged the suffering of survivors. In response, governments and international aid organizations launched ambitious reconstruction projects that sought not only to rebuild, but to build back better. Prioritizing resilience, disaster risk reduction, and sustainable development to better withstand future hazards. The psychological toll on survivors was immense and often underappreciated. The trauma of sudden loss, displacement, and uncertain futures created long-term social challenges. Communities faced grief, mental health struggles, and disruption of social cohesion. Over time, international relief efforts increasingly recognized that true recovery demanded attention not only to physical reconstruction, but also to mental health support and community rehabilitation. Scientifically, The 2004 tsunami spurred significant advancements in geophysical research, oceanography, and early warning technologies. Researchers gained unprecedented data on the mechanics of megathrust earthquakes, the physics of tsunami wave propagation, and the vulnerabilities of diverse coastal landscapes. These insights have informed improvements not only to the Indian Ocean system but to global tsunami preparedness efforts, contributing to enhanced hazard mitigation worldwide. In retrospect, the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami stands as a stark and sobering reminder of the intricate and inescapable interconnections between Earth's dynamic natural systems and human societies. It exposed critical gaps in global disaster preparedness and underscored the urgent necessity of international cooperation in managing hazards that transcend national boundaries and oceanic expanses. More than a tragic event, the tsunami became a turning point, reshaping how the international community approaches oceanic risks and natural disasters. It forged a new paradigm that blends science, technology, policy, and humanitarian response, establishing frameworks designed to protect lives and livelihoods in the face of nature's overwhelming power. Today, while the scars of that fateful day remain etched deeply into the landscapes and memories of affected nations, the tsunami's legacy is also one of resilience, solidarity, and vigilance. It stands as a testament to the enduring human spirit's capacity to recover, rebuild, and prepare. The 2004 tsunami offers a sobering and inspiring lesson on our shared vulnerability and our collective responsibility in a world profoundly shaped by the oceans. The Battle of Midway. Turning point in the Pacific War. In the vast, endless expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a fierce and decisive confrontation unfolded in early June 1942 that would forever alter the course of World War II. Just 6 months after the devastating Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway became the pivotal naval clash between the United States and Imperial Japan, a battle that decisively shifted the balance of power in the Pacific theater. The setting for this monumental struggle was Midway Atoll, a small, remote cluster of islands roughly halfway between Asia and North America. Though modest in size, spanning only a few square miles, Midway was strategically vital. It was a critical outpost in the Pacific, serving as a forward base for American forces and a barrier against Japanese expansion eastward. The Imperial Japanese Navy, buoyed by a string of early wartime victories, envisioned Midway as the next step in their campaign to dominate the Pacific. Their plan was not merely to seize the atoll but to cripple the United States Pacific Fleet by drawing American aircraft carriers into a decisive battle that would ensure Japan's naval supremacy. The Japanese strategy was bold, complex, and meticulously planned. By capturing Midway, Japan aimed to extend its defensive perimeter, disrupt American communications, and lure the US Pacific Fleet into a trap. Their broader ambition was to secure resource-rich territories in Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands, consolidating an empire that could sustain itself economically and militarily through prolonged war. However, what the Japanese did not realize was that their carefully laid plans had been compromised by a remarkable feat of American intelligence. At Station Hypo, the US Navy's cryptanalysis unit based in Hawaii, codebreakers led by Commander Joseph Rochefort had painstakingly cracked key components of the Japanese naval communication codes, known as JN-25. Through intense effort and ingenuity, the Americans intercepted and decrypted Japanese messages that revealed not only the timing of the planned attack but also the precise location Midway Atoll itself. This intelligence breakthrough gave the US Navy a critical edge in anticipating and countering the Japanese offensive. To verify their findings, the American cryptographers staged a clever ruse. They sent an unencrypted message stating that Midway's water purification system had failed. Shortly afterward, intercepted Japanese transmissions referenced a shortage of fresh water at Midway, confirming the location of the planned assault. Armed with this vital intelligence, Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commander of the US Pacific Fleet, devised a bold and unexpected plan. Rather than waiting to be ambushed, American forces positioned their limited carrier groups near Midway, prepared to spring a trap of their own. Despite being outnumbered, the fleet was ready to confront the Japanese fleet head-on. The battle erupted on June 4, 1942, marking the start of a fierce 4-day engagement dominated by carrier-based air combat. The vast majority of the fighting took place in the skies above the ocean, as aircraft launched from opposing carriers engaged in relentless assaults. American dive bombers and torpedo planes launched wave after wave of attacks against the Japanese fleet. In a dramatic and decisive moment, American dive bombers caught the Japanese carriers while their flight decks were crowded with planes refueling and rearming for their own attack on Midway. The timing was impeccable. Within minutes, bombs struck the Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu, three of Japan's frontline aircraft carriers, setting them ablaze and forcing their abandonment. Later, the Hiryu, the fourth carrier, was also critically damaged and sank. This devastating loss shattered the backbone of Japanese naval aviation and crippled their carrier force, which had been the linchpin of their early war successes. On the American side, the USS Yorktown, heavily damaged in the battle, was eventually lost, but its sacrifice was pivotal in securing the stunning victory. The ramifications of the Battle of Midway were profound and far-reaching. Japan's rapid expansion across the Pacific came to an abrupt halt. For the first time since the outbreak of hostilities, the strategic initiative passed firmly into American hands. From this point forward, the United States and its allies shifted from defensive operations to relentless offensives, initiating the island-hopping campaigns that would steadily push Japanese forces back toward their homeland. Beyond its tactical significance, Midway underscored the transformative role of intelligence and technology in modern naval warfare. The success of American codebreakers turned what might have been a devastating ambush into a decisive triumph. It demonstrated how mastery of information, cryptography, and communication interception could prove as critical as sheer firepower and fleet size. The battle also illustrated the critical importance of naval power and control over the oceans in shaping global conflicts. The Pacific Ocean, covering nearly one-third of the Earth's surface, was the stage on which control of vital sea lanes, resources, and territories would determine the outcome of the 20th century's most significant war. In the decades since, the Battle of Midway has been extensively studied by military historians and strategists as a classic case of intelligence-driven warfare, leadership under pressure, and human endurance. The courage and sacrifice of pilots, sailors, and commanders on both sides are commemorated as enduring symbols of bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Today, Midway Atoll remains a quiet sentinel in the Pacific, a remote outpost that once bore witness to a battle that changed history. It serves as a powerful reminder that even the smallest and most isolated corners of the world's oceans can become crucibles where the fate of nations is forged. The Battle of Midway stands as a monumental event, not only a defining moment in World War II, but also a testament to the enduring importance of the oceans in shaping human history. It reminds us that these vast seas are far more than mere expanses of water. They are arenas where technology, intelligence, strategy, and courage converge to determine the destiny of nations and the course of civilization itself. The opening of the Panama Canal, connecting oceans, transforming trade. In the early 20th century, global maritime commerce and strategic military logistics faced one of their most daunting challenges. Ships journeying between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were forced to navigate an arduous and dangerous path around the southernmost tip of South America, Cape Horn. This route was infamous for violent storms, unpredictable currents, icebergs, and treacherous seas that added thousands of miles and weeks to any voyage. The peril and inefficiency of this passage posed significant obstacles not only to trade but also to military movements, impeding the growing interconnectedness of the world. For centuries, visionaries had imagined a canal cutting across the narrow Isthmus of Panama, providing a shortcut between the two oceans. This ambition, however, was hindered by daunting technical challenges and the treacherous geography of the region. The tropical climate, mountainous terrain, and dense jungle presented enormous engineering obstacles, while tropical diseases such as malaria and yellow fever devastated early workforce efforts, often halting progress entirely. The first serious attempt to build such a canal was undertaken by the French in the 1880s under the leadership of Ferdinand de Lesseps, the renowned engineer behind the successful Suez Canal. However, the French effort faltered amid financial mismanagement, overwhelming technical difficulties, and a catastrophic toll from tropical diseases that decimated the workforce. The failure not only brought financial ruin but cast doubt on the canal's feasibility, leaving the project an unrealized dream. It was not until the United States took control of the project, backed by technological advancements, political will, and effective public health interventions, that construction advanced decisively. In 1903, following U.S. support for Panama's independence from Colombia, the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty granted the United States control over the Panama Canal Zone. This strategic move paved the way for construction under American oversight. One of the key breakthroughs that enabled completion of the canal was the successful implementation of disease control measures. The U.S. Army, led by medical officer Dr. William Gorgas, spearheaded efforts to combat malaria and yellow fever by controlling mosquito populations through sanitation, draining standing water, fumigation, and community education. These public health initiatives dramatically reduced disease incidence, allowing the workforce to sustain the grueling labor necessary to conquer the inhospitable environment. The Panama Canal itself was a monumental feat of engineering. Unlike the Suez Canal, which was built at sea level, the Panama Canal had to negotiate significant changes in elevation across rugged and varied terrain. The solution was an ingenious system of locks and artificial lakes, most notably Gatun Lake, which at the time was the largest man-made lake in the world. Ships entering the canal are raised and lowered through massive lock chambers, navigating the continental divide in a controlled series of water level adjustments. This engineering marvel allowed ships to bypass the mountainous isthmus without the need for a sea-level passage. Spanning roughly 50 miles from coast to coast, the canal transformed maritime navigation. When it officially opened on August 15, 1914, a journey that once took several weeks around Cape Horn was reduced to a mere day or two. This dramatic shortening of the route not only saved time but significantly lowered costs and risks associated with long, hazardous voyages, revolutionizing global shipping. The canal's opening had profound implications for global trade and economic development. It became a vital artery through which an ever-increasing volume of maritime commerce flowed. By efficiently connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, the canal enabled faster transport of goods, facilitating the growth of international markets. Producers in Asia, the Americas, and Europe found new opportunities to reach consumers worldwide, fueling economic growth and globalization. The canal helped shrink the world, turning once distant continents into linked economic partners. Military strategy was fundamentally altered by the canal's existence. The ability to swiftly redeploy naval forces between oceans became a critical advantage, particularly during both World Wars. The United States Navy leveraged this capability to maintain a flexible and powerful presence across the globe's largest oceanic theater, influencing the balance of power and the outcome of numerous conflicts. Politically, control of the Panama Canal carried immense strategic weight. The United States administration of the Canal Zone became a symbol of American influence in Central America and global maritime affairs. This control allowed the US to safeguard secure passage for commercial and military vessels, reinforcing its status as a rising global power. However, American stewardship was not without controversy. The presence of foreign control within Panamanian territory generated tensions, stoking nationalist sentiments and diplomatic friction over sovereignty. These tensions culminated in the signing of the Torrijos-Carter treaties in 1977, which outlined a plan for the gradual transfer of canal control to Panama. By December 31, 1999, Panama assumed full ownership and operation of the canal, marking a new era of Panamanian sovereignty over this vital waterway and ushering in a period of modernization and expansion under Panamanian leadership. The Panama Canal's opening was more than an engineering triumph. It reshaped the economic, political, and military landscapes of the 20th century. It symbolized human ingenuity's ability to conquer natural obstacles and connect disparate corners of the globe, fundamentally altering global trade routes and international relations. The canal underscored the ocean's central role not only as physical divides but as bridges linking nations, cultures, and economies. Today, the Panama Canal remains one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. It accommodates a significant share of international shipping, evolving alongside technological advancements and growing trade volumes. The canal has undergone major expansions, such as the Panama Canal Expansion Project completed in 2016, designed to handle larger vessels known as New Panamax ships. These upgrades reflect the canal's ongoing importance in an increasingly interconnected and rapidly changing global economy. The legacy of the Panama Canal endures as a testament to visionary engineering, international cooperation, and the transformative power of human determination. It stands as a vital link in the chain that connects oceans, cultures, and commerce, an enduring symbol of humanity's capacity to reshape the world for progress and prosperity. The Challenger expedition, unlocking ocean science. In the latter half of the 19th century, the world's oceans stood as one of the final great frontiers for scientific exploration. For centuries, sailors and explorers had traversed the vast ocean surfaces, charting coastlines and shipping lanes, yet beneath the waves lay a mysterious realm largely untouched and poorly understood. The deep ocean, with its immense darkness, crushing pressures, and unseen ecosystems, was considered almost unknowable, an immense expanse beyond the grasp of contemporary science and human technology. It was within this context of scientific curiosity and emerging ambition that the British Royal Navy undertook an unprecedented journey of discovery between 1872 and 1876. This was the HMS Challenger expedition, the first comprehensive, systematic global scientific oceanographic survey, a monumental mission that would forever change humanity's understanding of the seas and their critical role on our planet. Commissioned jointly by the Royal Society and the British government, the HMS Challenger set sail from Portsmouth, England, on December 21, 1872. Unlike previous maritime voyages primarily motivated by exploration, trade, or military conquest, the Challenger's mission was explicitly scientific. Its mandate was clear and ambitious: to measure and study the physical, chemical, and biological properties of the world's oceans on a scale never before attempted. This mission represented the dawn of modern oceanography. The ship itself was a repurposed warship. Retrofitted to serve as a floating laboratory, HMS Challenger was equipped with the era's most advanced scientific instruments, representing a breakthrough in maritime technology. Among these were deep-sea sounding devices capable of measuring ocean depths far beyond previous limits, dredges and trawls designed to collect samples of marine life from the ocean floor, thermometers to measure water temperature at various depths, and equipment to analyze the chemical composition of seawater. Innovations such as the sounding wire, which allowed the ship to map the ocean floor with remarkable precision, opened new windows into an underwater world that had long been hidden from human sight. Over nearly 4 years, covering an astonishing 68 nautical miles, the Challenger steamed through the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans. At dozens of carefully selected locations worldwide, the expedition conducted systematic measurements and collected thousands of biological and geological specimens. Much of this data and the species catalogued were entirely new to science, challenging existing theories and reshaping scientific understanding about the ocean's vast complexity. One of the expedition's most groundbreaking accomplishments was the detailed mapping of ocean depths. Among the most notable discoveries was the identification of the staggering depths of what would later be called the Mariana Trench, an oceanic feature previously unimaginable to scientists of the time. This revealed the ocean floor not as a uniform, featureless abyss, but as a varied landscape of towering underwater mountains, deep trenches, broad plains, and expansive plateaus. This revelation laid the groundwork for marine geology and helped pave the way for the modern theory of plate tectonics, fundamentally altering our understanding of Earth's dynamic geological processes. Equally transformative were the expedition's biological discoveries. Thousands of new marine species were catalogued, many retrieved from ocean depths that were previously believed to be inhospitable to life. These findings shattered the prevailing scientific dogma, which held that the deep sea with its darkness, extreme cold, and immense pressure was essentially barren. Instead, the Challenger's dredges revealed vibrant and diverse ecosystems thriving far beneath the surface, hinting at an immense and complex biodiversity invisible to human eyes. Beyond biology and geology, the Challenger team meticulously measured ocean currents, temperature gradients, salinity levels, and chemical compositions at various depths. These data provided critical insights into ocean circulation patterns that play essential roles in regulating global climate, influencing weather systems, and supporting marine ecosystems. The sheer breadth and depth of the data collected were unparalleled, establishing a foundational dataset that underpins oceanographic scientific inquiry even today. All these monumental findings were carefully compiled into the exhaustive report of the scientific results of the exploring voyage of HMS Challenger, a comprehensive series spanning over 50 volumes. This vast compendium became the cornerstone of oceanographic science, ushering in an era during which oceans were no longer perceived as mysterious and hostile voids, but as dynamic, interconnected systems vital to life on Earth. The Challenger expedition marked a pivotal turning point in humanity's relationship with the oceans. It shifted global perception from viewing the sea as a dangerous and unknowable expanse to recognizing it as a living, breathing ecosystem critical to planetary health, climate regulation, and biodiversity. The voyage demonstrated that rigorous empirical scientific methods, coupled with technological innovation, could unlock secrets once believed forever beyond human reach. Moreover, the expedition exemplified the power of international scientific collaboration and set rigorous standards for future oceanographic research. It illustrated how dedicated scientific inquiry, careful methodology, and advanced technology could produce knowledge with profound theoretical and practical implications, shaping multiple scientific disciplines. In the decades that followed, the legacy of the Challenger voyage spurred the growth of oceanography into a vital scientific discipline. Its influence extended beyond marine science into climatology, ecology, geology, and environmental science, underpinning modern efforts to understand and protect the oceans in an era of rapid environmental change. Today's oceanographic expeditions, deep-sea exploration technologies, and global environmental monitoring initiatives trace their roots directly back to this pioneering mission. Ultimately, the voyage of HMS Challenger was far more than a scientific survey. It was a bold, pioneering quest that unlocked the ocean's hidden depths, forever expanding the boundaries of human knowledge. It revealed the ocean's fundamental role in sustaining life, shaping climate, and connecting every corner of the Earth. The Challenger expedition remains a beacon of scientific curiosity, perseverance, and the enduring human desire to explore and understand the natural world. As modern humanity confronts challenges like climate change, ocean acidification, and biodiversity loss, the lessons of the Challenger voyage resonate with renewed urgency. It reminds us that the oceans, vast and mysterious, are critical to our survival and prosperity, and that through careful, collaborative science, we can uncover their secrets and learn to protect this irreplaceable resource. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill, environmental wake-up call. In April 2010, the Gulf of Mexico became the stage for one of the most catastrophic environmental disasters in modern history. On the night of April 20th, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig, operated by British Petroleum (BP), suffered a devastating blowout that led to a massive explosion. This tragic event not only claimed the lives of 11 workers and injured many more, but also unleashed an underwater gusher of crude oil that would flow unabated for 87 days, releasing an estimated 4.9 million barrels of oil into the surrounding ocean. The human tragedy marked only the beginning of a disaster, with profound ecological, economic, and social consequences. The relentless spill fouled thousands of square miles of the Gulf's marine waters, devastating delicate ecosystems and vital coastal habitats that support an abundance of marine and terrestrial wildlife. The toxic components of the oil-coated beaches, marshlands, and estuaries, suffocating plants and animals alike, and causing widespread mortality among fish, birds, and marine mammals. One of the most alarming aspects of the spill was its far-reaching impact across the entire marine food web. Plankton, the microscopic foundation of ocean life, were contaminated early on, undermining the sustenance of species up the food chain, from small fish to large predators such as dolphins and whales. Coral reefs, often called the rainforests of the sea, suffered extensive damage. These fragile structures are critical breeding and nursery grounds for many marine species, and their degradation threatens biodiversity and ocean health for years to come. The Gulf of Mexico serves as a critical habitat and spawning ground for a vast array of commercially important fish and shellfish. The spill disrupted spawning cycles and severely reduced population numbers, causing ripple effects that extended well beyond the immediate area. Long-term ecological studies indicate that several species have struggled to recover even a decade after the event, highlighting the persistent legacy of environmental damage. The economic consequences mirrored the environmental devastation. The Gulf Coast's fishing and seafood industries, which provide livelihoods for thousands, were devastated. Contaminated waters led to widespread fishing bans and market collapses, creating economic hardship and uncertainty. Tourism, another vital economic driver for coastal communities, plummeted as oil-streaked beaches and polluted waters deterred visitors. The disaster exposed the deep interdependence between ocean health and human well-being, illustrating how environmental crises translate directly into social and economic distress. In response to the magnitude of the spill, the Deepwater Horizon incident became a catalyst for urgent regulatory scrutiny. Investigations revealed systemic failures in safety protocols, risk assessment, and corporate oversight within the offshore drilling industry. These failures highlighted a dangerous complacency toward deepwater drilling risks and a lack of preparedness for worst-case scenarios. Consequently, the US government moved swiftly to implement sweeping reforms aimed at preventing a recurrence. New regulations mandated the use of enhanced blowout preventers, the critical safety devices designed to seal wells and prevent uncontrolled oil flow. Rigorous safety training requirements were introduced for drilling personnel, and emergency response capabilities were strengthened to ensure rapid action in case of future incidents. The establishment of the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, BSEE, in 2011 consolidated oversight responsibilities, empowering regulators to enforce compliance more effectively. The disaster's impact resonated beyond US borders. Countries engaged in offshore oil extraction worldwide took heed, reviewing and strengthening their own drilling standards and safety regulations. The Deepwater Horizon spill served as a stark global warning that energy demands must be balanced with a commitment to environmental protection and precautionary principles. Moreover, the spill ignited a broader, vital conversation about environmental stewardship and sustainable resource management. Public awareness about the fragility of ocean ecosystems grew significantly, fueling advocacy for cleaner energy alternatives and pushing industries toward more responsible practices. The disaster underscored the urgency of addressing human impacts on oceans, particularly in the context of accelerating climate change and environmental degradation. Since the spill, billions of dollars have been dedicated to restoration efforts aimed at rehabilitating damaged habitats and supporting wildlife recovery. Cleanup operations have employed innovative techniques to mitigate oil contamination, while scientific research continues to monitor ecological recovery and assess long-term impacts. Community assistance programs have sought to alleviate economic hardships and promote social resilience among affected populations. Despite these efforts, many areas still bear the scars of the disaster, serving as sobering reminders of the long-lasting consequences of environmental negligence. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill stands as a somber milestone in humanity's complex relationship with the oceans. It exposed vulnerabilities not only in technological reliance but also in industrial expansion into sensitive marine environments. More importantly, it underscored the imperative for transparency, accountability, and precaution in the exploitation of ocean resources. As the world grapples with mounting environmental challenges from climate change to pollution, the lessons of Deepwater Horizon remain urgent and relevant. This disaster was not simply an isolated accident, but a wake-up call. It compels a re-evaluation of how society balances energy needs with environmental sustainability, and how governance structures can better protect fragile ecosystems. Ultimately, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill is a stark reminder that the health of our oceans is deeply intertwined with our own survival and prosperity. It calls upon us to foster a new era of responsible stewardship, one that honors the ocean's vital role in sustaining life and safeguards their resilience for generations to come. The oceans, dynamic forces shaping human history and our future. Throughout human history, the oceans have been far more than vast expanses of water separating continents. They have functioned as dynamic theatres where the forces of nature, human ambition, and the tides of global politics converge to shape the world as we know it. The story of humanity is deeply intertwined with the oceans not only as physical barriers or routes for travel, but as powerful agents that influence civilizations, economies, and cultures. From the earliest daring voyages that charted unknown waters to the ferocious naval battles that determined the fate of nations, the oceans have consistently played a pivotal role. These waters have been silent witnesses to triumph and tragedy alike. They have borne witness to catastrophic natural disasters that exposed human vulnerabilities and environmental crises that challenged humanity's capacity for stewardship and sustainability. Their influence is woven into every chapter of human history. The age of exploration, beginning in the late 15th century, was a watershed moment that forever altered the course of human civilization. Through bold voyages led by explorers like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan, the oceans ceased to be mere obstacles. Instead, they became highways bridging continents, cultures, and economies. This era connected distant peoples and resources, triggering profound demographic shifts and economic transformations. The oceans carried goods, ideas, religions, and technologies, enabling empires to rise, flourish, and at times collapse. The seas were arteries of power, wealth, and influence. These early voyages paved the way for a global network of trade and cultural exchange. Spices from the East, gold from the Americas, and textiles from Europe flowed along sea routes that tied continents together in an intricate web of commerce. Yet, these interactions also brought darker legacies: colonialism, exploitation, and the forced movement of peoples through the transatlantic slave trade. The ocean was a pathway for both progress and profound human suffering. Naval engagements such as the Battle of Midway during World War II further underscored the strategic importance of ocean control. This fierce clash between the United States and Imperial Japan in 1942 was more than a military encounter. It was a decisive turning point that shaped the outcome of the Pacific War. The battle demonstrated that mastery over the oceans could dictate geopolitical power, altering the balance of forces and the fate of nations. Control of sea lanes, naval dominance, and maritime mobility became central to global strategy and security throughout the 20th century and beyond. Control of the seas has since remained vital. The ocean is the lifeblood of global trade, with over 80% of international commerce transported by ship. Nations with strong maritime capabilities command economic influence and military reach. The oceans serve as the highways of globalization, enabling the rapid movement of goods, people, and ideas that define our interconnected world. Yet, the ocean's influence extends beyond human conflicts and exploration. Nature itself has demonstrated the immense power and unpredictability of the seas. The devastating 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was a stark reminder of this. Triggered by one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded, the tsunami unleashed colossal waves that claimed over 230 lives across multiple countries. The disaster exposed the ocean's raw force and humanity's profound vulnerability. It also highlighted the critical need for international cooperation, early warning systems, and disaster preparedness in mitigating such tragedies. This event reinforced the truth that while humans may navigate and utilize the oceans, they remain ultimately subject to their immense power. Environmental disasters such as the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010 further reveal the fragility of marine ecosystems and the consequences of human industrial activity. When the Deepwater Horizon rig exploded, millions of barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, devastating coastal and marine habitats. The spill devastated fisheries, wildlife, and local economies, exposing the interconnectedness of ocean health and human livelihoods. It ignited regulatory reforms and intensified global dialogues on sustainability, responsible resource management, and the imperative to balance technological advancement with environmental caution. The oceans themselves are living, breathing systems, complex, interconnected, and vital. They support immense biodiversity, regulate climate and weather patterns, and provide resources essential to life on Earth. Coral reefs, mangroves, and seagrass beds are nurseries for countless species. Ocean currents moderate climate by redistributing heat, affecting weather and agriculture worldwide. The oceans absorb vast amounts of carbon dioxide, playing a critical role in mitigating climate change. However, rising temperatures, acidification, pollution, and overfishing threaten these delicate systems, jeopardizing their health and our own future. Our history with the seas is a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, but also at times to human hubris and short-sightedness. This history is not simply a record of navigation and conquest, but a profound narrative about humanity's evolving relationship with nature's most expansive ecosystem. Understanding pivotal oceanic events offers us more than just a chronicle of past triumphs and tragedies. It provides essential insights into the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world. The lessons embedded in these stories compel us to acknowledge our shared responsibility for the stewardship of the seas. As custodians of the oceans, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that these waters continue to sustain life, commerce, and culture for generations yet unborn. As we face an uncertain future marked by climate change, overfishing, pollution, and habitat destruction, the lessons drawn from the ocean's history grow ever more critical. They remind us that the oceans are neither distant nor separate from our lives. They are intrinsic to our survival and well-being. Our connection to these vast waters is enduring, filled with awe, dependence, and profound respect. From oceanographers to fishermen, from coastal communities to global policymakers, we are all connected through the oceans. Protecting them requires collaboration across borders and disciplines. Efforts to reduce plastic pollution, establish marine protected areas, promote sustainable fisheries, and combat climate change hinge on our collective will and action. In the final analysis, the story of human civilization cannot be told without the oceans. They have served as backdrop and catalyst, ally and adversary in our collective journey. Recognizing their power and potential is essential not only to appreciate our past, but to navigate the pressing challenges of tomorrow. Whether through scientific discovery, environmental protection, or global cooperation, our future is inextricably linked to the fate of the world's oceans. The oceans are a source of life and mystery, challenge and opportunity. They demand stewardship grounded in respect, knowledge, and foresight. As we stand at the crossroads of environmental and societal change, embracing the lessons of history is our best hope for a sustainable and resilient future. One where the oceans continue to inspire and nurture all life on Earth.